February 11th, 2015 to order. Roll call.
Trustee Gillis. Here. Trustee LaRue.
Here.
Trustee Bosco.
Here.
Trustee Schiavone.
Here.
Mayor Ryback.
Here.
You have the quorum.
Please stand for the pledge. And after the pledge, please stay standing for a moment of silence for our veterans. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, if there's anyone with any of the municipal commissions or local organizations in attendance who would like to be acknowledged, if you'd like to stand and introduce yourself, we'll welcome you to the meeting.
Casino, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and Midlothian American Legion.
George Doden, Veterans Committee, Midlothian VFW, American Legion, 691.
Carolina Unification Committee.
Welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. At this time, we will open the floor to public comment. If you'd like to address the board, now is the time to do so. Yes.
How are we doing on the Ricky Rockets?
Actually, I have a conference call scheduled with Ricky Rockets on Friday. We're still in the early negotiation stages with that, but we'll talk again on Friday and see if we're getting a little bit closer or not. Working on it.
Good.
Thank you, Rita. Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
The main reason I came, I don't come often, but believe me, my heart's here. 50-some years here in Midlothian, and I've been living on Abbotsford Road all that time, and I just found out that certain laws are laid down about removing snow. And what was bothering me is the fact that there is no removal of the snow on the sidewalk down to the train station and down Abbotsford Road. I have been doing this for 50-some years and never thinking about it, that now my machine isn't working. And I walked up today, and there's no way to walk across Abbotsford Road out. And so I'm not blaming the town's maintenance department. They've always been great. I have no problem at all. But I just would love to see that clarified, because I do believe we gain a revenue from the parking people for the train, correct?
Correct.
Well, they don't have a way to walk in, so better that they drive in. But this is what I was asking about, and if we thought there was a way of getting those avenues down. I said, I've done it as a volunteer, but my machine has been put to rest in my chest at home. But
Well, we appreciate all the time and effort you have put in, Ray. Joe, can you make sure you address this?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Mayor, I have a
Yes.
quick I would like to address the lady from the Village View thing. I seen her article, or seen the article from the newspaper regarding Midlothian blocks red light cameras. And the statement that's attributed to me on there is erroneous. In fact, it's incorrect. I was speaking of other red light camera facilitators. Those other red light camera facilitators do charge a fee, a maintenance fee, and they do charge a fee for every time they send you a picture. And the company that we had engaged for primary talks does not do that. That's why I thought they were a credible company to do business with. So, no, they don't charge you. There's these other agencies charge anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 a month, which is outrageous. And a lot of these towns have gone away from these red light camera companies for doing this. But Safe Speed has a very good track record. And if you want to make an adjustment on that, I would appreciate it, but I did not say that they were the one, because I know quite well. they might have an issue if they read your article. And regarding the other two gentlemen that you quoted here, or spoke to, I don't know what their backgrounds are. I suspect they're not very credible. I don't know the men. But regarding the State Representative McSweeney, I don't know why he would say it's a great cost to taxpayers, because it doesn't cost taxpayers a damn penny. It costs lawbreakers money.
Yeah, he was reported as saying that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea. I never talked to the man, but
Okay.
it costs lawbreakers money, not taxpayers. And the other gentleman, I believe he was here, and I thought I addressed his issue with that. And he thinks overall it's a loss. Well, he better go over to the umpteen towns that are around us that all have red light cameras, because they're still paying for them.
Okay,
And they're still receiving income from them.
right.
All right?
Yes, I'll let you know.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it. That's all I have on that.
Okay, thank you.
Kathy Caveney, 14632 Keeler Avenue. At the end of the last meeting, the special meeting on January 28th, Trustee LaRue brought up that he had heard from the chief that the chief was requested to go and return a vehicle to a resident of Midlothian whose vehicle had been towed. It was booted and towed for non-payment of their parking tickets. And you had mentioned that the person had agreed to make restitution by a week from that Friday, which would have been on or about February 6th. So my question is, why was that done? Why was somebody let off the hook? And did that person pay the parking tickets? And did that person pay the $100 tow fine to Midlothian?
They did not pay the $100 tow fine to the Village of Midlothian, but they did pay their ticket in full,
Why did they not pay the tow fine?
because I asked it to be removed.
Why?
Because I thought it was an extenuating circumstance. She wasn't even aware that she had the tickets. And she thought it had all been settled, and the next thing she knows, she's being towed.
Well, this had to have been for more than one ticket, I'm assuming. And doesn't the village send out multiple notices and warnings before you get towed?
When she was in collection, she thought the collection had been resolved.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that there are a lot of residents that come to the court every month. They have to pay their fees, and their fees aren't getting waived. And given the circumstances of the village, we can't afford to be waiving anybody's fees. You know, if I pay my water bill late, I pay the fine. You know, I was out of town when my tag expired. I got a ticket. I sent in the $65 and I paid it. So, and I didn't ask for any special, you know, treatment. So,
Okay.
I don't think that that's a good practice to continue,
Okay.
given the circumstances that we're under.
Okay.
It takes 3 unpaid tickets to get on the hotel list. And each ticket, you have to not pay, you get 3 chances, 3 notices for each ticket to appear and pay.
Okay.
So that's 9 notices.
That's
Yeah,
even
that's,
worse.
that's a lot of notice. That's a lot of notice to not realize that you owe tickets and then get upset that your car's been booted and towed. Other issue. I had brought this up a couple meetings ago and asked the board to consider it, and I've not heard anything since then. Given, again, the situation in the village with all the work that needs to be done, all the issues that are going on, all of the various issues in the village that need to be addressed and discussed, I don't think that having one board meeting a month and one committee meeting a month is sufficient for the board to get together and resolve the issues, or for the residents to come forward and voice their issues and their concerns as to what's going on. So I would like to know from the 4 trustees that are here, how many of you also agree that we need to go back to having 2 board meetings a month?
I believe we discussed this previously. To my knowledge, we need to post it because I think we agreed to go back to our schedule. We just haven't followed the procedure to get there yet.
Right, that put it in paper.
Well, if the ordinance was never changed to only have 1 meeting a month, I don't understand why it needs to go in the paper to say that we're going back to 2 meetings a month.
That's what I was told we have to do.
Well, if we have to do it, we've got a representative from a newspaper right here. Can it go in her next newspaper? Can we call the Messenger and have them post it on Thursday? That starting in March, we're going to go back to having 2 meetings a month?
We can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Jamie Guzman, 14731 Colmar. I don't know how many times I've gone into the Wendy's, there's always a panhandler in there. But now you got panhandlers at Subport where they're stopping people as you go through the drive-through. And you have drug dealers that are hanging out in front of Subport. I don't know if you're aware of it, but it's like I mean, not saying it's like every day that I go up there, but that Subport driveway, you could have somebody pull a gun on you very easily. And considering the fact of what the train incidents of people getting jumped or whatever, I find it very, I wouldn't go there again. And it's, we're trying to get business in Midlothian, and if that's happening on a Friday night at like 12 o'clock, I don't know how many other people that come to our town because something's open late. There was a panhandler that went next to behind us and then came to our car and then went back to the other car, and they're just, you can't go anywhere. It's not like you can drive off, the creek's there. You can't, you're boxed in, and I think they know that.
Okay.
So I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
I'll bring it to my police
Did you
attention.
say Wendy's the first time?
Wendy's, there's a guy that sits in Wendy's almost on an everyday, I mean, you drive by Wendy's, you could see him sitting in there, and if he's not inside, he's sitting outside, picking up cigarette butts and just hanging out, you know. It just doesn't make Midlothian look very nice, having panhandlers just all over the place, in restaurants especially. I mean, I know they go to the library, at least at the library, they're contained and they're looking at a computer, or they're reading a book or something, but just sitting and lounging and not doing anything and not using the service, you know. But the Subport thing, that's enough. I mean, I don't like the fact that somebody can pull a gun on you and nobody would even know it, because you're boxed in and you're kind of like behind the building, you know. And I don't know if Subport's even aware of it.
Right.
So
We'll address it through the police. Thanks,
Thank you.
Tammy. Is there anybody else who'd like to address the board?
I have something here I would like to read because I couldn't. Helen's sick tonight, so she gave me this too. We were asked to book a room at the village for an important meeting concerning flood projects, March the 12th from 7 to 9 p.m. It's March 12th. It's a rain-ready Midlothian meeting with the steering group and stakeholders and partners. They will share some of the findings from the risk mapping and property surveys that CNT and Army Corps has been doing, and to create a checklist of potential solutions to consider in the rain-ready plan that might bring additional economic, environmental, and social benefit to the village. This may include land banks, bike trails with adjacent stormwater retention, identifying retail opportunities that could use green infrastructure as part of their development strategies, etc. And who do we need to speak to about getting the...
I already penciled it in, or wrote it on the calendar. Karen Price could be here.
For March the 12th?
March 12th.
From 7 to 9?
Yes.
And you're taking care of it?
Midlothian and other invitees.
Yeah.
And it'll be in this room?
It'll be in this room. There was nothing else on the schedule, so I hurried up and wrote it down.
Oh, thank you.
I hope that's okay.
Yeah, we normally go through Mike to make sure, because he watches the calendar, but that's fine. We'll,
I
we'll
got
actually,
it.
if you can give me the rest of that information, Vita, I can get it on our website, so we can have people be aware of the meeting coming up,
Okay.
okay? I don't know if you want to just give me Helen's note, so we have what it's all going to entail.
No,
It's
that
up
would
to
be
you.
fine.
Okay. Because we'll get that on the website, it was actually Jamie's idea to post more things like on the homepage, so people are more aware of what's out there. So this is a great opportunity to do that.
We didn't have to go far.
Thank you.
Yes,
Quick question, February 15th is the VFW, got reservations in this room?
mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah, we approved that last meeting.
All right, I wouldn't know, I just want to verify.
Yep,
Thank you.
we're all
Thank you.
verified. Anyone else? I will close the floor to public comment. At this time, trustees, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda. On this evening's consent agenda, we have the approval of the board meeting minutes from January 14th, the closed session minutes from January 14th, the special meeting minutes from January 28th, and the closed session minutes from January 28th, the bill list, and the department reports from the police and building departments.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Gillis.
Aye.
Trustee LaRue.
Aye.
Trustee Philly.
Aye.
Trustee Maskell.
Aye.
Trustee Scavone.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, we're going to go on to trustee business. Gary, you said you're going to report for trustee Price?
I got a short email from
I got one thing.
Oh, okay.
Or unless you get the whole thing. I was at a meeting today that I want to report on security.
Okay.
Theta took a little bit of the thunder out of Karen's message to me, Trustee Price. She wanted me to really push this meeting because it involves a lot of people and a lot of big groups. And she says that they were planning to meet third week of every month.
Yeah.
According to Superintendent Sperry's schedule. So make sure you make it. I also was told to talk about the US EPA Community Outreach. They are having a meeting here in the chamber on Thursday, February 26th at 7 p.m. All residents are encouraged to come, and I left flyers on the table out here. It's a community outreach meeting with the US EPA Groundfield Assessment Grant, and they're looking for input from everyone. So please try to make time to show up for that. Karen thinks that's very important as well. Veterans Committee met, is meeting Monday, February 16th at 7 p.m. And she is also she has been talking to Bill K. Ford and Right Way Auto about potential development over on Cicero Avenue. Bill K. has expressed interest in building a new dealership this year somewhere. So she is meeting with the general manager a week from today, and she asked me to come along, so we'll be meeting with him over at his dealership around sometime Wednesday afternoon.
Next Wednesday
Next
afternoon.
Wednesday. And that is all she had.
Okay. Don, did you have anything else for
Yes,
Karen's
I
report?
was at a South Suburban Mayors and Managers meeting this morning in place of Karen. That's the one that with Dominic Tosi and Eric Nego from Weaver Consulting now, and SSMA people, and they talk about the main subject of conversation was the Lomar study to get the TOD out of a floodplain. That would open up development. I want to fill in Trustee Christ more about what happened, and then she can report to you about everything I'm a fish out of the water there, so I don't want to say too much about it. We also just briefly talked about CRS, because there is a potential to have the engineering funded by Cook County, because when you're doing the community rating service, there is a lot of engineering. Not a lot, but there is some things you need from engineers to fill out the application, and that obviously the time and everything the engineers it costs. So they're going to try to initially try to link community rating service to the Lomar study. That may work, and if not, that may be a general thing for the Cook County, but that will be much longer term. So I don't, I think we don't want to wait around for that, but we're hoping that maybe some of that money we could use as get a grant for that also. So the rest of the things I think Trustee Christ can report to you in a coherent fashion, much more than I can. That's about all.
Trustee Scavone?
Yes, ma'am. Just one thing, the building department has asked me tonight to make a personal plea to the residents of the Village of Midlothian. Please, please, before anybody decides to do any work on your property, outside or inside, just come up to the village hall and talk to somebody from the building department and ask if you need a permit and what you need to accomplish it. A number of people have engaged in business renovation around their property and have subsequently found out they were in violation of village code. It is not the village's request or wish to interfere with people that are improving their property, but we have to go by codes. We have established codes in the village, and please come up. It is not a problem. They will explain it to you. You will need a permit to do anything, and they'll get you on your way, but it's a lot simpler than doing the work and then being told either you have to take it down or pay a huge fine and still get a building permit regarding the matter. So, I've said it, please keep in mind, building permits are required. Just touch base with them, make a phone call. Either Nicole or Mike in the building department will talk to you and address your issue. Please do that. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Trustee Gillis.
Yes, a couple of things tonight. Recently, we've been doing some selling and buying with our ambulance. Currently, we have 2 box ambulances that we purchased used from other departments at a very good price. We have a buyer for one of our van ambulances that is still in decent shape that probably will be sold to a different community down the road. With that, we still have a van ambulance that we have currently used as a backup ambulance. The problem with this now that we transport is that when we respond to calls, whether they're an emergency medical call or a structure fire or a call out of town, the personnel that are in that van ambulance have to put their equipment inside the ambulance itself, which isn't a healthy thing for patients or our own personnel. So with that, we have been working diligently trying to get the best bang for our buck for these 2 pieces of equipment because they do have low mileage on them. And currently we have found a buyer for 2712 for the amount of $12,000. With that, the fire department chief Hot Wagner and Deputy Chief Meyer have been working diligently trying to find a replacement for this piece of equipment that would be feasible both price-wise and equipment-wise. And they have been able to locate basically the twin of the current Foster coach that we have in service now. Naperville is willing to hold on to this until we make a decision, hopefully within the next week or next days, or if not tonight, to purchase this at a cost of $10,000. So basically what I would like to do is bring up a motion to sell 2712 at a price of $12,000 and purchase.
It's not on the agenda.
Okay. Possible sale of ambulance 2712, possible replacement. That's not on the agenda.
But it's not on the action items, so we can't vote on anything.
Oh, okay. There's an order there. Well, anyways, the ambulance in Naperville has, they're willing to sell to us for the amount I stated. At the next available meeting that we can do this transaction, I'd like to bring up then. So,
Do you concur with that, Attorney Lisa? It's on the agenda.
It's up here on the agenda, it's not on the action items.
Yeah, it is.
Right. Okay, well, yeah, if he's saying it's okay. It's generally end up on here that we can go ahead and do it.
But it's right, we have to do an ordinance to.
We will have to have a full-blown ordinance. We can do the sale and the replacement, and then what we'll do is we'll do the official ordinance then at the next meeting.
okay. Because it's not going to be like we're going to.
Buy it tomorrow.
Right.
Right. We'll sell it tomorrow.
Can I ask, Chief, why is it so cheap?
The place Foster Coach was purchased the other ambulance from the first box, it's a new ambulance. We worked with them and got a good deal going, and we told them when they got that one, they said they got another one coming, it probably won't be for a while. said, well, let us first enlist when it comes. It came in before they went over everything, did it, and they says, you know, since you bought the other ambulance, we will give it to you for that price, but we're firm on the price for $10,000. So.
They haven't put it on the market for anybody else yet, so they're actually,
Right.
the working relationship that the fire department has with Naperville has worked out extremely well to our advantage. To the point that we could, you know, the $2,000 that we're going to have, we'll probably be able to use that to paint our logos and name on it, so. I don't think we're going to come across a deal like this ever again. So getting something that only has 73,000 miles on it, I think is a good opportunity to get us where we want to be.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask then to have it motioned that we move his 2 line items down under my business for further action later in the meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call?
1 second. Okay, trustee Corley.
Aye.
Trustee Schavoni.
Aye.
Trustee Gillis.
Aye.
Trustee LaRue.
Aye.
Trustee Maskell.
Aye.
Jerry, you can shut
I
down.
apologize for any miscommunication.
That's okay.
I also want to give an update on the Manhattan ambulance that we are purchasing. They should be getting a better look at theirs at the end of this month, so we should have some movement either the end of February or the first weekend in March and getting that. That's in the works. I also want to bring up, I had made mention of the rain mail program last meeting, and I had basically stated something inaccurate. The rain barrel program is still available to Midlothian residents. At the present time, the program is for people who have downspouts connected to the sewer system. I have been told by MWRD that this may be changing sometime in the spring because they do have a large quantity of rain barrels, and with that, they may be able to make them available to all residents that want to use a house, yard, garden, wherever else. So we currently are on MWRD's website. You can download the application to pick up a rain barrel or have one delivered if you do qualify with the downspout requirement. You can also call Public Works. The number is on the flyer. I believe it should be on our website soon if it isn't already. And they also have the link on MWRD. So that is in the works. And like I said, I think that because of the quantity they have extra, we should be able to make this a more easily obtained piece of equipment for people to use at home. I also would like to make mention that obviously with all the snow and sleety ice, Public Works has been out doing a lot of work outside their normal scheduled hours. First, I'd like to commend our mechanic who's been keeping the equipment up and running, because I know that's not an easy thing to do when you have plows that take a lot of abuse during the winter snow. So thanks to Mike, he's done a great job of keeping things going. And to our Public Works employees who not only have been dealing with water main breaks in this weather, they've also been doing the snow plowing, the salting, and if you haven't seen it, they've had quite a bit of removal in the downtown business districts in the sidewalks and stuff. So I also like to make mention that please be careful when you see the flashing lights, especially in the intersection, because they are working in small equipment, and there are employees that are out there with shovels and doing some breaking up and stuff. So again, thank you very much for that, you and your guys. And lastly, I'd like to make mention that we have a beautification meeting February 19th at 7 p.m. Carl, if you want to let them know what the website is, I know you have Facebook.
It's Facebook/Beautification Committee.
Okay. And they are looking for additional members if anybody is interested. And that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Trustee LaRue.
Yes, ma'am. Chief Kaufman couldn't make it tonight, so he asked me to share a story with the board and the residents, so I will. Last week, a distraught woman showed up at our police station out of gas and flat tire. One of our officers went to her aide and gave her some gas money, went to change the tire. And unfortunately, the spare tire was worse than the flat tire. So they did a quick call to Fair Towing, which is one of our towing companies in town, and they offered to replace her tire for free. So the officer also bought a can of Fix-A-Flat to get the tire, to get the car to Fair Towing, and John at Fair Towing had our employee remove the back tire and replace it with another one, and also gave the woman $20 for gas and food, and sent her on her way. He'd like to give a huge thank you to Fair Towing for everything they did. The woman was very upset and at her wit's end, and our police department came through, and as well did Fair Towing. So thank you, Fair Towing.
Thank you, Fair Towing.
Also, same regards, I got a call last week from a resident who wanted to thank me for the actions of our police officers. So I would like to officially, publicly thank Officer Winkle and Officer Tavermina for the kind and courteous and professional attitude and help that they gave a resident in need in this town. So, although they just say they're doing a job, it's always nice to hear from residents and the good things. Community Policing Committee met last Thursday, and preparations are ongoing for our annual CPC Dare Golf Outing. It's going to be Saturday, May 9th at Fountain Hills. And also our Neighborhood Watch Group is working on an Easter egg hunt, which is going to be Saturday, April 4th on the Village Green. So looking forward to a lot of great events from the CPC and the Neighborhood Watch Group, and really looking forward to the weather to get nice so we can start walking in. So, and lastly, I just want to dovetail on what Ms. Kathy said about the 4 meetings a month earlier. We did, I thought, had not again, but it seemed that we thought we needed to go back to 4 meetings a month, and we thought we were going to get the notice put in the paper, and it didn't happen, so I asked to have it on the agenda for tonight, and it didn't make the agenda. If I could just say, we're a municipality of 15,000 residents, we have a budget, well, last time we saw a budget a few years ago, it was a $10 million a year budget. We have unions, we have grievances, we have litigation, we have property, we have economic development, and lastly, I think the residents, I can't say last because I got one more last thing. The residents deserve more opportunity to speak to the board on an official basis than less, and our ordinance, as Ms. Kathy says, requires us to have 2 board meetings a month, and I was advised by a municipal attorney that if we deviate from that ordinance without a backup amended ordinance, we're in violation of the law. Do you agree with that, Attorney Gleason?
That if you don't have a meeting, you're in violation of the law.
Our ordinance says we're supposed to have 2 board meetings a month.
But if you don't have a quorum, you can't have a meeting. So I don't know that a court could compel you to have a meeting. It's easier to add meetings than it is to reduce meetings. So if you guys can call a meeting by a majority of the quorum anytime you want, as long as you get 48 hours. So you could have go to the four meetings a month just by posting notice, and then when you file the official notice in the newspaper, then they'll be considered 2 regular meetings as opposed to special meetings. But you could start right now having 4 meetings a month if you want. Just have to give the notice. So.
I'm confused. Our ordinance clearly says that we're supposed to hold a board meeting every 2nd and 4th Wednesday of each month. You're saying that we don't have to do that.
I'm saying if you don't do it, I don't think that a court can compel you to do it.
If we didn't have a quorum and the meeting didn't happen,
right.
At least it was scheduled and it was attempted to happen according to our ordinance.
That's what I'm saying. So if you want to follow the ordinance, you should be having the 2 meetings a month. I agree with you.
That's all I got.
Okay. Trustee Gilliland.
Okay, first on the list is community rating
System.
I don't even know that. I met with Kathy Cavey Monday and went through the whole frickin' worksheet and the start, how you start, and all these million things that you have to do for it, and how much paper you have to do. We'll be talking to Jeff anything possibly for this thing. And we picked the things we're most likely to be able to do quickly. And we mapped out a plan of action that we're going to work on some things that we can do quickly with the village, and also possibly with engineering fairly quickly. We have some things we have to learn. We couldn't even figure out the acronyms half the time. So, you know, that's, I think, you know, with Kathy on the committee, I really feel we can get this done quickly. I mean, we're both like, hey, this thing should be done very quickly. As a side note, when I was at the meeting today, they told us that the rates for the flood insurance have gone up dramatically. So that's another reason to get this thing on the board and get it moving. The bad side about this is, once we submit the application, it takes 12 to 18 months, as Jeff told me already. It takes 12 to 18 months to get a rating.
That long?
12 to 18 months to get a rating. So, I mean, you know, the problem is, we're slow, but for now, we're gonna move it. We're gonna get this thing cooking, but we have to learn a little bit more about what we're doing. So I'm gonna ask you, we have to talk to, we have to ask Jeff for some help on this thing, and get it going, and hopefully we can get a lower rating than maybe we think. You know, we're pushing for as much paper as we can submit, so the more points you get, the lower rating you get, and the lower insurance rate you get for the residents would have to have flood insurance. So, you know, it is what it is, and we have to get it on the board as quickly as possible. I talked to a resident at the last meeting, talked about why we didn't, why they could resell homes that had flood problems or black mold and so on and so forth. So I talked to her after the meeting. She asked if we had historical elevations that could be accessed by the residents for, you know, when they're doing flood insurance, and also if they're buying a home and things like that. There isn't any historical. We have to go on from now and save them, but there's no, is that right, Jeff? There's no really historical rates?
Yeah, you would have had to have been keeping track of, the way it works with when you volunteer to do CRS is that you have to keep track of damage.
Right.
And once you hit a certain threshold, they say, all right, that's enough. You have to either tear it down or substantially elevate the house so it stops happening. So 50% of the value of it. That's when you, but you have to keep track of that. If you haven't been keeping track of that, then there's no way.
From now on, with community rating, we will.
Right, that's one of the things we volunteer to do in the points.
Right, and maybe we can even, you know, when people want to buy a house or something like that, maybe we can, if they have to do historical elevation, if they have to do an elevation survey, maybe we can mandate that the residents submit it to the village, so they would have it on record too, you know? That would be a good thing too, but for right now, we don't have anything. Going forward, we will in the floodplains, and maybe we can even get it for the whole village, which will help the residents. I would like to talk quickly that I think what you talked about is very important, and I would hope by the next meeting we could consider an ordinance that would mandate that every home that is sold and every property that is a rental of home, it would be mandated to that the conditions of flooding, asbestos, mold, black mold or mold, and lead paint has to be disclosed to the buyer or to the renter, no matter if a bank owns it or whatever. Now, I think that's legal, but we have to double check this a little bit closer. Why? But there's some technicalities that the banks, if they don't reside at the property, they don't have to disclose it. They're not liable for that. We're going to fix it. I think we're going to try to fix that problem because the conditions that somebody can buy a home like that or rent a home like that is deplorable. And if we can fix it with that easily fixed with that ordinance, I think we should pass it. So hopefully by if everything goes, all the ducks fall in a row, we can pass that ordinance, and that problem from now on should be solved. So I thank you for talking about that.
Can you add contractors too to that? Like if a contractor buys the home and sells it?
Everybody.
Okay.
Everybody who is going to sell a home is going to have to disclose that they have or rent a home will have to disclose that.
What about apartments? Would you add that too? Just renting apartments? I'm just saying.
Wow, that's a good question. I don't know. We could talk about that if we want to put that on. You would think that the rental inspections would take care of it, you know, because every 2 years the rental properties, even if they're homes, have to be inspected. But the inspections are pretty tough for apartments. I don't know if they have, I'm not totally sure if that's necessary, but what do you think?
So even if somebody like has some, it doesn't even have to be a flood per se, but like if they had water or something in their house and they fixed it, and they don't do it properly, they just had their friend do it,
Yeah, see,
because
we're
their
not
friend paints
going to
or.
be in the position of
You know what
inspecting it. We're going to be in the position of disclosing it. Okay, and I don't think we don't have the manpower to inspect all these things. But we do have we can make it, the homeowner, the person who's buying it or renting it aware so they can get a home inspection. Most of the time, for people who buy property, they get a home inspector. So if this is disclosed, then when you hire a home inspector, you go and you say, hey, Mr. Home Inspector, make sure this isn't around anymore. Make sure that before I buy this property, this isn't around, or it has to be remediated before I'll buy the property. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think the big problem you were talking about, especially with that one home that keeps on getting sold, rented or sold, rentals, probably think those are rented.
Well, my neighbors across the street bought a home that floods all the time.
Right.
And they were told it didn't flood, and it comes in through the window.
Well, then I think you would have.
And there was a contractor home.
If we pass this ordinance, I think they would have a legal remedy against what we're told. You know, I think they, you know, so.
Don, in the
Thank you.
community rating system, there is an ordinance that requires flood damage prevention to be addressed, and
Yes.
it does cover
That's
everything.
right.
So if we do go to that and get to that point where we adopt that ordinance, all that will be covered in the ordinance.
Well, I'm talking about, I just, you know, and that's good, I just want to make the homeowner or the buyer or the renter aware of it, so, you know, for whatever condition that is, and if they're aware of the flooding, and again, I don't know, we don't want to be in the position of inspecting it, I don't think we don't have the manpower.
How do we get to that point then?
Pardon me?
How do we get to that point? House A goes up on the for sale sign. How do we get to the point of knowing whether there's an issue with that property?
They turn on water?
Well, regarding, okay, let's just say, for instance, they have mold in the property.
No, we're not in the position of inspecting. We're going to make sure it's disclosed. When they turn on
How do we do that?
When they turn on their water, they're going to have to have the seller's going to have to, the buyer's going to have to give us something from the seller saying that it's either going to have a check mark saying, hey, you know, we don't have any of these conditions, or it's going to have a check mark, I disclose these conditions. Otherwise, that's it.
And what is the ramifications for saying they don't have those conditions?
Well, I'm not aware, but I would expect that if they said they didn't have flooding, and you know, I think you might have some legal remedy against them. I mean,
It's always nice that to make rules,
right,
as the state of Illinois does all the time, without any follow-up, and that's what I'm afraid we're walking on that path.
Well, the real estate, you know, they do have to disclose it normally now. It's a law.
Yes.
It's a law. The only loophole to that is that because the bank especially doesn't live at that property, they don't have to disclose it. Now, I don't know what happens if they don't disclose it now. I don't really know. I just want to make it all on a level playing field. I want to do it.
Maybe we could, and I don't know, we'd have to get the attorney's opinion on this. Maybe if we know a house is already listed in floodplain, maybe we'd have to have a 3-week notice posted in the paper so that if anybody else knew there was issues with this property.
I don't know how it happens. I think we might want to consult with an agent finding out what happens now and what happens if the home is sold and there is a condition that wasn't disclosed. What happens, you know? So I mean, that's why we want to discuss it at the next meeting and get more input on that. But I think the bottom line is we don't want to talk about just floodplains. We want to talk about all homes.
And I know that, and I realize that, and I'm 100% with you, for you. I just don't
what
want
the
to
mechanism of it is.
I don't want to do feel-good things.
Pardon me?
I don't want to do feel-good things. It feels good to do this.
That's right.
It has no purpose.
We have to find out what happens now and just try to make that coincide with what happens now on most projects. That's about all.
That's why I was stating that in the rating program, they do have a hazard disclosure section that covers all that would help us.
But how, you know, Vincent's question is how do we make sure that happens? How do we know that? How do we know that happens? And you know, I would suspect that you know, there are some contractor properties that don't go through listings, you know what I'm saying? So however that happens now, we try to make it coincide with this new ordinance and see what goes on. We do have to need a little work on that to make sure that it does happen.
The only thing I think possibly we could do, and I don't know where it would go, is any real estate agency, seller of any kind in the Village of Midlothian has to make the village aware of the fact that this property at this location is now on the real estate block. And then the village would be, once again, we're pressing our resources, but the village would have to make sure that this property hasn't come under problems in the past. And I
Well, I don't
think
think we want to inspect that. I think when they turn on the water, I think we could just ask for a form. Show me the form. You know, and maybe, you know, and I understand we could talk to the real estate people, but for contractors that may not work. For foreclosed homes, it probably will, because most of those are rented. They have real estate.
They get away with it by saying as is.
No, there is no
as
as
is.
Under this ordinance, there won't be any answers.
And that's how they get by with it. Every
So
house is
we need
considered
more work on
as
it.
is when there's a problem.
Okay, and we have to do more work on that. In coinciding with all this stuff, I talked to, my wife works for Lake Catherine, and I talked to the gentleman there. We talked in the past about having native plants that would hopefully be like rainforest, rain garden that would suck up water. And they are going to have a native plant sale in May, so I think it's May 4th, where they will sell native plants. Native plants are good because this is also going to help my friend, the monarch butterfly too. And, you know, because without milkweed, the monarch butterfly is dead, which is, you know, but in coinciding with this, native plants are great for sucking up water. So I think we can publicize that and maybe get some of our people to start a native plant garden, which is low maintenance too. We could also say that, speaking as a gardener. Right, Carol? Is that right?
Right.
Thank you. And lastly, my friend, the garbage can, I guess it's not here.
It's not out there?
it's out by.
Oh, I thought it was going to be here so I could.
No, we left it outside.
Okay, fine.
We left it outside.
So, about my friend, the garbage can.
It's a garbage can.
Thank you.
Okay.
About 6 months ago, a resident asked me, or posed a question, and in some of the other towns you looked at, the business districts have a very nice looking garbage can there that is for recyclables. And it looks really nice, and it looks like we're environmentally friendly, and it's easy to recycle for a lot of the things that go on around there with paper and everything. And he asked why we couldn't have it. Well, the mayor's been contacting the garbage company back and forth, and a couple days ago got a very good answer. That who is it?
Republic.
Republic, it's not growing anymore.
No.
Okay, the Republic will agree to donate 10 of those garbage cans. And we'll put them in the business district where we are. They will donate it to us for free, and they will pick up the garbage just the same as they do for the residences. And as an added bonus, businesses can actually advertise on these garbage cans. So if people are ahead of me, what's the best slogan for a business to advertise? Don't waste money. So if we can actually get money off of these cans for revenue possibly, I think that might be a good thing. So they're out there if you want to look at them, and they should be in the business district shortly.
Yeah.
So that's very good news, and thank you. And that's all I have.
Trustee Mosco.
Yes, I have just two things. This week, I happened to come across something from the Northeast Illinois Resilience Partnership. And this is regarding some workshops piloted for Elsa, Blue Island, Calumet City, Calumet Park, Crestwood, Dalton, Robbins, and Riverdale, focusing on disaster resilience, including flood prevention. Steve, is this something that you've heard about already? The group didn't sound like a familiar name that I've heard. Colin, are you raised before?
I read a little something, but it didn't go into any great detail.
They're going after funding, I forget from what agency, but they're working to put together kind of a group application. But unfortunately, it's limited to those communities.
It's just for those communities?
adjacent to the one we had in the river itself, so.
Okay.
So unfortunately, you're not on that list. That's what they're doing there.
Well, we can try
Is there,
it, we can try it.
is there any benefit to any of our folks attending and making a presence?
I don't see why not, but I think it is limited to those communities at this time.
We
Because of
attended some
prox-
meetings over at
proximity.
the Dalton Library that we weren't invited to. And I don't think we've ever went to a meeting that we didn't learn something
Right.
from it.
When is that meeting,
I
Alan?
have about 15 copies of this, which I'll give to you after the
Okay.
meeting. Rita, and I'll read it real quickly. It says, focus on disaster resilience, including flood prevention. As your home or business in one of the 8 municipalities listed above and impacted by extreme weather, especially rainstorms that cause floods and the related damage like the one that happened in April of 2013. If so, Cook County, on behalf of the Northeastern Illinois Resilience Partnership, which includes Cook County, City of Chicago, DuPage County, and the state of Illinois, invites you to attend any one of our community meetings to share your experiences and ideas about making your home, business, and neighborhood more resilient. We are defining regional resilience as the ability of a region to maintain and improve quality of life in the face of hazards, stressors, or shocks by reducing vulnerabilities across the interacting built, natural, and social systems, and by increasing the capacity to adapt over time. We look forward to your participation in any one of our upcoming community workshops scheduled as follows. There's one tomorrow evening in Blue Island at the City Hall. There's one next Thursday in Calumet City, and one on February 23rd. I think that's a Monday or Tuesday, I'm not sure. All of those meetings in Robbins, and those are all from 6 to 8 p.m. So I will give this to you after the meeting. Hopefully it'll be helpful. And then secondly, I just also wanted to reiterate Trustee Gillis's compliments of Public Works for all of their work and taking care of the snow. So thanks to the team, Joe.
Thank you. Legal business? Mr. Goza?
Just a couple of things there. I'm meeting with Superintendent Sperry tomorrow to discuss a couple of grant opportunities. The first being the 2015 CDBG block grant funding from Cook County. It's up to $400,000. No match funding for infrastructure improvements. That application is due March 17th or 18th. So that's one we typically apply for every year because of the fact that there is no match. And, a couple of years without being selected. So hopefully we're due for some funding from that.
And what would the funding be for?
Infrastructure improvements. Typically, we do road resurfacing are good ones. They like to have projects that can be completed quickly. So road resurfacing, sewer mining projects as well. Some of the ones they like to spend the money as fast as they can, so they keep getting it. So
Could it be used for sidewalks?
that's actually what the village has applied for the last couple of years, and for whatever reason, they don't rank sidewalks highly as roadways. So that's part of the reason why.
What about handicapped sidewalks?
Well, as a part of a roadway improvement, we would take care of those at intersection corners to update those to current standards. But a project specifically for handicapped sidewalks, again, I'm not sure how high that would rank. It could be good look into it, but there's a lot of options there. And also there was a second funding that with Joe. It's a program from the Army Corps of Engineers called Section 219 grant. It's kind of a general infrastructure, again, it's for water, sewer, or stormwater. That process is a lot slower. I worked on one with another community. It took them 5 or 6 years to get the funding. But to get your name on the list is not much effort. So work with Joe to try and identify something that we can throw around there and see what happens. So that's all.
Is that a no matching grant?
No, there is 25% match on that. They typically award up to $500,000. But given the long lead time on it, we'll see if we can maybe coordinate it possibly with MWRE on their project to see if we work this together.
There's a lot of regulations from MWRE coming up that we have to make improvements. It's mandatory. We have to televise so many sanitary sewers to block the rainwater from getting into the sanitary sewers. So this is hopefully going to be some way for us to pay for that. Because they make all these laws, but they don't give you any money. So we got to try to connect this.
That was all. So,
Thank you. Chief Operator?
Just a couple things. young girl from town, which is Fannie Mae, got a little stuck in a snow pile in her business. I know one of the police officers stopped by and tried pushing her out. And then a tow truck company stopped by and wanted to charge her $75 to pull her out. Not one of our tow truck companies, another fly-by-night guy. And the officer tried getting him out, and our firefighters, the ambulance saw it and stopped and they had to push her out. She wanted to thank those guys involved. She dropped off candy at both stations, police and fire department for it. So they made them happy, but it's really nice when everybody works together, especially when someone's stuck in this snow we had. The other thing, I'd like to thank all the residents who did clear out their hydrants. I don't know if anybody saw on the website, we were out there, all of our guys, we got 600 some hydrants. With the snow, a lot of them were covered where you couldn't even find them. So it was great for people to help us out. Although we did have some residents who, as we shoveled the hydrants out, plowed snow right out while we were there still. So we just ask that if you can, keep the hydrants clean. Hopefully we won't have any more snow like this. And also if you can't do it or you don't have the ability to do it, either the hydrants blocked, call us and we'll come out and do it. We try to hit most of them, but it's a lot of snow. That's all. Thanks.
Superintendent Sperry?
Yeah, I got a few things, a couple flood. First, I want to thank everybody who had patience for us for the snowstorm. Thank you for your patience. It was a trying snowstorm. You know, it was the 5th largest snowfall we've had in the history of Chicago. But, you know, we've been clearing snow since last Saturday night, so it's been almost 2 weeks. And it took time. You know, I know there's a lot of people that were patient at the beginning of the week. Some of the complaints were for 147th Street, you know, and I just want to let people know that that's not us. We only take care of that.
Is there a number we can call them to get them out there? That not just
Go on
call
IDOT's
you?
website. I mean, 147th Street is IDOT, and Cicero is IDOT, and County is Pulaski and Kedzie. Usually IDOT does a good job. So something else this year. Those are a lot of the complaints I got was, why did you do all your side streets? We're not allowed to do those streets. When I tried to contact them, it's just as hard as you. Like last year, the county they didn't salt very well. We had a lot of accidents out by, you know, from the tracks all the way to 159. I called, I finally got a hold of somebody. They said, oh, we're out there. You know, so we take a lot of heat for that. You know, we're trying to do what we can with our streets. Sometimes we can't get them wide enough. We had 2 trucks, 1 tractor breakdown. We had a water main break, so there's a lot of extenuating circumstances. But we did get a lot of complaints. We got some anonymous, you know, I don't think those people are ever happy. But I appreciate everybody's patience. We're trying to clear off all the business districts. One thing I would ask people to do is not to snow blow their snow in the street. You know, there's no reason for that. I have a double wide driveway, and I have to go home and snow blow after all the trucks have gone by. And all you gotta do is turn that chute. Because every time they put it out the street, we have to put it back. And then we go back and forth. Then I get phone calls. Then the street's packed with snow and it's frozen, you know, so I don't know if we can get an ordinance or something like that in the books because it's chasing our tail back and forth. But anyway, that's all I had to say on the snowstorm. A couple things with the flooding. I was contacted and included in a conference call from a group called STAR, Strategic Alliance for Risk Reduction. I forwarded this to Helen, and I'm including her in this little group. This is more for the private homeowner business. They're trying to have a workshop sometime in April, May. They may have it at the South Suburban Conference. And it's just to get people together, get contractors, FEMA, landscapers, surveyors, MWRD, State Floodplain Organization, Army Corps, experts in this kind of stuff, and homeowners who, like you guys, have problems can go. Most of you guys know what you need to do, or you've done what you could do personally, but some people don't understand. They can put overhead sewers in, so they can talk to a plumber about that. So I'm including, they said their biggest problem, they've had this in the past, it's the first I've ever heard of this organization. They've had these open houses or workshops in the past, but they don't get a good turnout. So they asked if anybody knew a good way to get the word out, and I said, I know exactly a good way. Because if there's a flood meeting out there, she'll get a crowd there. You know?
Right.
So I'm including Helen in this, and so that's good to hear. The other thing was I went to a Cal-SAG Watershed Planning Council meeting. That's every 3 months they have those. I wasn't aware that in the Phase 2 projects, we all know about the Natalie Creek and everything, but they're also doing something to help mitigate some of the flooding in the Maple Grove, Maple Lane, you know where that retention pond, 143rd and Linder Avenue is? some of you people don't know, but it's off at the corner of Midlothian. They have a lot of flooding. It's not as big a project to fix that. But, and I wasn't on board with that because a lot of the work they're gonna do that's gonna help us is gonna be done in Crestwood or unincorporated Bremen Township. You know, they may put another pond in, and also there's some of you guys probably drive down the turnpike. The water sometimes goes right over the top of the turnpike. Well, that floods all those new subdivisions up there. And they're supposed to do something to help with that. So that's good news, that those two projects they're both at the same, place in the engineering. It's early on, but something that's gonna
143rd and Linder and Crestwood or Midlothian?
143rd, north side is Midlothian. The south side is Midlothian. The north side is actually, parts of it are unincorporated, parts of it are Crestwood up there. But whatever they do in those areas, it's gonna help us. We're the ones that actually take most of the flooding, So there's a lot of property up there, so they're gonna be doing some property acquisition and probably putting in a retention pond, changing some culverts up there. It's minor compared to what they're doing for the Manley Creek project, but it's gonna help them 100% up there.
Okay.
And then Jeff and I are continuing to find out a way to help the Jolly Homes area, 151st Street, they got their flooding problems over there. So we're trying to find a way to get some kind of funding going. That's not included in the phase 2, but MWRD will do some work on that if we can find ways to fund that. So we're looking into that. We're working on that. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, under my business, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the ordinance to dispose of squad number 701, the dash police car.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Trustee LaRue.
Aye.
Trustee Maskell.
Aye.
Trustee Gillis.
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Trustee Scavone.
Aye.
I'd be looking for the motion to approve the December 10th, 2014 minutes.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Roll call.
Trustee LaRue.
Aye.
Trustee Scavone.
Aye.
Trustee Gillis.
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Trustee Maskell.
Aye.
I'd be looking for a motion to approve more money being transferred into the 911 board for payables. They've actually struck a deal with Blue Island to start slowly paying them back a little at a time, and they're still not able to cover their bills with what we're just bringing in our 911. So they are asking for an increase. Sorry. I had it, sorry. They are asking for an increase of $5,000 a month be transferred into their account to pay up Blue Island.
So we'll pay in total, how much we're gonna pay total?
We'll be paying them their 19
Okay, I
plus
just
the
wondered.
5,000 a month.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Trustee Gillis.
Aye.
Trustee LaRue.
Aye.
Trustee Maskell.
Aye.
Trustee Scavone.
Aye.
Okay, the last thing I have, well, second to the last thing, I'd be looking for the approval of the special use for 4649 West 147th Street. I gave you the notes from the zoning board, and I'd be looking for either a motion to approve or deny the gentleman's request for special use.
Not to uphold or deny the recommendations,
Right.
but to uphold
Right,
or deny the special use permit.
correct.
Any other business?
This is for the one that was going to
No pleasures.
yeah, sorry.
It was gonna go on Black Hawk.
Black Hawk.
Next to Canoes, or?
Next to
Yeah,
Canoes.
Canoes, yeah. I'll make a motion to deny, obviously it's in violation of the ordinance, so.
Okay.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Scavone.
Aye.
Trustee LaRue.
Aye.
Trustee Gillis.
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Trustee Maskell.
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna ask that we hold on the sale of the ambulance, just because we do have to have an ordinance to dispose of it. So we'll hold on to that till next meeting. Don't sell it till we get the ordinance to you. But I would be looking for a motion to approve the purchase of an ambulance from the city of Naperville for a cost not to exceed $10,000.
I'll make the motion.
Is that 10,000 or is it 10,005?
10,000.
Contingent on the sale of 2712, can you add that to the motion?
Yes.
Well, we can't sell that until.
Can't sell it until we get the other one
I
service.
already have a motion.
Yeah,
Fair
sure.
enough. Make a motion to amend.
I'd like to make a motion to amend trustee Gillis's motion to add.
They may cause problems, though.
Yeah.
We have to wait, because now we have to wait for the ordinance. I mean, we'd have to wait for the ordinance to purchase. Right.
You have a firm buyer for that?
We're pretty solid.
We have very firm buyer.
Louise. Is my dad.
Okay.
Louis.
No,
I retract my motion.
There you go.
Scared of Louis.
So I have a motion on the table to purchase the ambulance from the city of Naperville not to exceed $10,000.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion, roll call.
Trustee Gillis.
Aye.
Trustee Maskell.
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Trustee LaRue.
Aye.
Trustee Schiavone.
Aye.
Okay, I would be looking now to motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing the employment discipline of a specific employee, collective bargaining, and pending litigation.
I'd also like to include hiring too. Okay.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Trustee Gillis.
Aye.
Trustee LaRue.
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Trustee Maskell.
Aye.
Trustee Schiavone.
Aye.
There will be no action after closed session, so if you would like to. Sure, go ahead. You've got to mention something about streetlights.
Yeah, if you people might notice tonight from, I think it's Clifton Park to 147, the streetlights are out. We've had a problem with somebody running into the streetlight at the property, the business at 147 in Springfield. Then their plow driver drove over it, shorted out all the wires. So we're working on it. Tomorrow morning I have an electrician coming, and if we don't get things solved, we'll at least bypass it and the rest of the lights will come on. So just bear with us. It just happened at 9 o'clock.
You're just trying to save a whole lot of phone calls on your inbox tomorrow. Like I said, there will not be any action after closed session, so it will be